The dramatic leadership shakeup in Avelino versus Cuenco was not a sudden decision, but a highly coordinated, minute-by-minute battle on the Senate floor.
The exact sequence of actual events and parliamentary maneuvers that transpired between February 18th and February 21st, 1949, unfolded as follows.
Senator Lorenzo Tanana officially requested and was granted the right to use his privilege hour during the next session day to formally present corruption charges against Senate President Jose Avelino. Hours before the session, Senators Tanana and Prospero Sanidad formally filed Resolution Number 68 with the Secretary of the Senate, outlining the formal draft charges and demanding an official investigation.
At 10 a.m., a legal quorum of senators was already physically present in the session hall. Avelino, hiding out in his private office, deliberately refused to step onto the floor to stall the proceedings.
At 11:35 a.m., Avelino finally ascended the rostrum. Instead of opening the session, he ordered the secretary to give him a copy of Tanana's resolution. To waste more time, he read the entire multi-page document slowly and carefully in front of the public gallery, then held an impromptu huddle with his allies.
Facing intense shouting and pressure from the floor, Avelino officially called the meeting to order just a few minutes before 12 o'clock noon.
Senator Tanana repeatedly stood up to claim his privilege hour, but Avelino completely ignored him, refusing to give him the microphone. Senator Sanidad moved to skip the tedious reading of the previous minutes to save time, but Avelino's allies objected to keep the filibuster going. Whenever opposition senators tried to raise points of order, Avelino aggressively slammed them down as out of order. As shouting erupted between the two factions, a loud commotion broke out in the public viewing gallery. Citing the gallery disorder, Avelino's ally, Senator Pablo Angeles David, quickly moved to adjourn the session until February 24th. Senator Sanidad vehemently objected and demanded a formal vote on the adjournment. Ignoring the demand to vote, Avelino violently banged his gavel, unilaterally declared the session adjourned, and hurriedly ran off the rostrum. He immediately walked out of the legislative building, followed by 9 of his allied senators and the Assistant Senate Secretary. Senate President pro tempore Melesio Arranz immediately took the vacant rostrum to restore order. Because the official Senate Secretary had abandoned the room with Avelino, the remaining body instantly voted to appoint Gregorio Abad as the acting secretary to keep legal records. With the obstructionists gone, the floor formally recognized Senator Tanana, who finally delivered his explosive privilege speech. The 12 senators unanimously approved Resolution Number 68 to investigate Avelino. They then instantly introduced and passed Resolution Number 67, which officially declared the Senate presidency vacant and elected Mariano Jesus Cuenco as the new acting Senate president. The very next morning, President Elpidio Quirinal officially recognized Cuenco as the lawful head of the Senate, rendering Avelino's walkout an absolute political failure and forcing the dispute into the historic hands of the Supreme Court.
The legal battle in Avelino versus Cuenco, Gr. No. L. 2821, severely split the Supreme Court. The justices grappled with two constitutional headaches, jurisdiction and mathematical quorum. In its initial ruling, the Supreme Court voted 6-4 to dismiss Avelino's petition, choosing a strict, hands-off policy. Led by the view that the selection of a Senate president is a purely political question. They argued that under the strict separation of powers, the Supreme Court does not have the constitutional authority to micromanage how a co-equal legislative body selects or replaces its leaders. The Senate has total autonomy over its internal organization. Argued that the court did have jurisdiction because the case directly involved a constitutional violation, specifically, transacting government business without a lawful quorum. They maintained that since the Senate is composed of 24 theoretical seats, a valid quorum strictly required 13 senators. In their view, the 12 senators who stayed behind were a powerless minority. The court took notice that of the 24 official Senate seats, Senator Tomas Confisor was out of the country, abroad, and another senator was physically incapacitated. The court reasoned that a quorum should be computed based on the total number of members within the geographical and coercive jurisdiction of the Senate, those who can physically be compelled or arrested to attend a session. Since only 23 active senators were available in the country, 12 senators legally constituted a majority quorum of the active body, officially validating Cuenco's presidency.